How do you ask for more years in power when your people are already struggling to survive under your leadership? That is the burning question now echoing across Zimbabwe. As President Emmerson Mnangagwa faces mounting anger over a controversial push that critics say is less about national development and more about holding on to power. Because for many Zimbabweans, this is not just about changing the constitution. It is about something deeper, something more personal. It is about lived reality. Since coming into power in 2017, following the dramatic fall of longtime ruler Robert Mugabe, Mnangagwa arrived with promises of economic revival, promises of jobs, promises of a new Zimbabwe. But nearly a decade later, many citizens are asking, where are those promises? Zimbabwe today continues to battle severe economic hardship. Inflation has repeatedly eaten deep into the value of incomes. The cost of living remains painfully high. For ordinary citizens, survival has become a daily struggle. Businesses are closing, unemployment remains widespread, and for many young people, the future feels uncertain. In a country once known as the breakfast of Africa, food and security have become a recurring concern. Basic services are inconsistent. Power supply remains unreliable. And confidence in the system has steadily weakened. These are not just statistics. These are real frustrations felt in homes, markets, and the streets across the country. And now in the middle of all these comes a proposal to extend presidential terms, delay elections, and potentially keep the current leadership in power longer than expected. To critics, the timing could not be more troubling because the question Mayor asking is simple. If the current years have not delivered stability and prosperity, why should more time be the solution? This is the tension that exploded in Harare. What was meant to be a constitutional hearing quickly turned into a battleground of emotions. Citizens showed up, not just to speak, but to confront. Voices clashed, tempers rose, and in moments, the situation spiraled into chaos. Supporters of the government argued that continuity is necessary, that long-term plans require time, and that leadership stability is key to national progress. But across from them stood frustrated Zimbabweans who saw something else entirely, a leadership asking for more time without first answering the present. Then came the images that shocked many. A human rights lawyer reportedly attacked in the middle of the chaos. A moment that captured in a single scene just how tense and divided the country has become. Because this is no longer just a political conversation. It is a national mood. Opposition voices have grown louder, accusing the government of trying to manipulate the system. Civil society groups are raising red flags, warning that Zimbabwe could be drifting further away from democratic principles. Reports of intimidation and crackdowns have only deepened suspicion. And then, in a twist few expected, even war veterans, once seen as strong allies of the ruling establishment, have stepped forward to challenge the proposed changes. That move alone speaks volume. It signals that the concerns are no longer coming from the margins. They are coming from within. Across Zimbabwe, the conversation has shifted. It is no longer just about what the government wants to do. It is about whether the people still feel represented, heard, and respected. Because in Africa, the story is familiar. Leaders come in with promises. Hope rises, expectations grow. But when realities fail to match those promises, trust begins to crack. And when that same leadership then seeks to extend its stay, the reaction is almost always the same resistance. Zimbabwe is now living that moment. The streets may not yet be fully consumed by protest, but the tension is there, the frustration is real, and the patience of many citizens is wearing thin. For a country with such a rich history, strong human capital, and vast potential, the current situation raises difficult but necessary questions. What has gone wrong? Why does the struggle persist? And most importantly, what gives any leadership the moral ground to ask for more time when so many are still waiting for change? As this crisis unfolds, one thing is becoming increasingly clear. This is not just about extending a term, it is about accountability, it is about performance. It is about the growing voice of a people who are no longer willing to stay silent. Because at the end of the day, power does not belong to one man, it belongs to the people. And in Zimbabwe today, the people are beginning to speak loudly, boldly, and with a question that refuses to go away. If the past years have been this hard, what guarantees that the next ones will be any different? That's it on Africa Watch on Africa 24 Hours TV, where the world watches Africa here. Thank you for joining us. Please stay tuned on Africa 24 Hours TV by subscribing to the channel at Africa 24 Hours TV and follow us on all our social media handles below your screen. My name is Amos Zege.